Somebody told me once I couldn't be a tour guide. Remember that? That guy said, they said I couldn't be a tour guide. I'm walking around Fishtown with people. Here we are, Fishtown. I'm gonna do a walking history tour. There's some people. There's not. Oh, it's my mom. So I guess me, you, and my mom are gonna go for a walk in Fishtown. Hey, what's going on, John? There we go. We're getting claps. We're very excited. It's our stuttered affair. This is Bob Bogan, bass player of Public Urination. Yeah, no autographs, no autographs.
Hi. How are you, Bob? Good, how are you?
Bob is going to be part of the tour in a little bit. Rock and roll history on this tour. Oh, hey, there you are. These are the good Nicks. They come out and play Quizzo. And
I'm Bill.
Bill and Brittany. We'll just give it like 5 minutes. We'll get started. It's going to be about 1.5 miles of walking. Not much. I really didn't have much time to film the tour because I was busy giving the tour. So just for you, the viewers, I went back to Fishtown today and I redid the tour on my scooter. Thank you to everybody who came out. It was a lot of fun, and I hope to do it again real soon. Here we are, Penn Treaty Park. Gonna take you on a walking history tour of that neighborhood over there, Fishtown, and actually the state of Pennsylvania. American history happened in this park. But before we get to the American history, let me tell you about this statue. This statue was put in Penn Treaty Park in 1982. That's William Penn. He is the founder of Pennsylvania. William Penn was, I guess, the owner of Pennsylvania. He was the first, So anyway, this statue, it's not even about William Penn. It's about this statue. This statue was built by some guy out west. Let's say Oregon. Probably wrong, by the way. Don't write book reports. The stories are sort of correct, but the dates are never correct. So the guy made this statue, and it was so ugly. The people who ran this park, they were like, "Nah, cuz you can keep that. We don't want that." And then there was a lady who lived in Fishtown, and she read an article in the Daily News, and then the article said, the statue's so ugly. Penn Treaty Park said, "Screw off. We don't want it." So this lady from Fishtown said, "Hey, sent the artist a letter saying, yeah, cuz, let me see a picture of what you got." And then she saw it. She goes, "Good Lord, that's awful. William Penn's face is hideous. It's sunken in. You got to add to it." So then the art, and then what she did? She sent him some pictures of the William Penn statue that is atop Philadelphia City Hall, and he added a little bit more to it. And then the statue was okay enough to be in the park. Just okay enough. This is, well, first off, the thing itself is kind of American history. This is one of the first historical markers placed in the United States, definitely in Philadelphia. This is the spot of where the great elm stood. The William Penn and the Native Americans. The Native Americans in this area were Lenape Indians. Native Americans. Oh, listen, sometimes I'm going to say that. It's all over the signs. They wrote Indian. They still haven't fixed that. So it was, I'll try my best not to say that. But so there was a giant tree that stood here because when they signed the treaty, it was they didn't sign the treaty. They exchanged the belt. And William Penn gave them some stuff like linens and then they did a little trade-off. They stood under this tree. Here's a fun fact about American history. New York and I think Boston, they also had cities that coexisted with Native Americans. But what they did is they built a wall to keep the Europeans separated from the Native Americans. Philadelphia, we didn't have to do that. because William Penn was a Quaker and he was trying to be a nice guy. So anyway, the big tree that was here where they did the thing, it blew over. I think in 1805, the tree was so big, people from all over the neighborhood, Fishtown, or Shackamaxon, which it was originally called, and then it became Kensington, and then it became Fish. It's a long story. We'll get to it. The tree was so big it fell down that Dr. Benjamin Rush, I believe he signed the Declaration of Independence, he got a chair carved out of the tree stump. And if you go to Harrisburg, the state capital of Pennsylvania, you can see the tree. Well, the chair, which is part of the tree that William Penn signed, that's pretty cool history. You see that turtle? Turtles are everywhere in this park. And most people probably, they go, oh, we're near the Delaware River, because the Delaware River, it's that stuff right there. But what it really is, whenever you see a turtle in this section, it's paying tribute to the Native Americans that lived in this area first, because the European settlers, there were 3 Lenape tribes, all right, and there was the Turtle Clan, the Wolf Clan, and the Turkey Clan, and that's a name the Europeans gave them. But the Turtle Clan, the Turtle Lenape Indian, settled in this area, and the originally name of this area was Shackamaxon, which I don't know what it means. So let's see. We're gonna go here. Hop on the scooter. Anything else about William Penn? Did we talk about William Penn? William Penn, his dad was an admiral in the army of the British Army. Let's just say that. Again, they'll go right in book reports. So anyway, the King of England owed William Penn's dad a lot of money. So what he wanted was, he said, listen, William Penn. And plus, William Penn was kind of a radical. He didn't want to follow the Church of England. He was a Quaker, and so the King of England said, listen, here, take this part of land in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right? Get the hell out of England. Take all your goofball Quaker friends, and you start your freedom of religion little spot. Whew. And I'm trying to go as fast as I can because there's a storm a-coming. So the King of England, William Penn, wanted to call Pennsylvania just Sylvania, which means woods. And the King of England said, listen, don't be a dickhead. Give your dad a little cred, because if it wasn't for your dad, you wouldn't be getting this. So the King of England said, name it Pennsylvania, and that's why we have the name. It means Penn's Woods. This is the I95 Archaeology Center. It's never open because of COVID. I don't know, maybe everybody that worked there caught COVID and didn't make it, and this place is never open. But you see that little fella under there? That's a porcelain statue that people found when they were digging underneath I-95. This is I-95. This is like the major highway that can get you from Maine all the way down to Florida. And this was put in, they're redoing 95 for the past decade, it seems. And before they dig up spots, especially around here, they look around for old stuff, because we just build on top of the past. And if you go inside this museum, you'll find a lot of old vases, if you're one of those people who says vases, statues, knickknacks, weapons. They have, Native American, those rocks, that arrowheads, I guess. So that's that, right? But it's never open. This is Richmond Street. This is one of the older streets in Philadelphia. There's a lot of older houses in this section of Fishtown. One thing you're going to see when you're walking around this neighborhood is people have little fish as their address markers. That fish, most of the fish on the Fishtown signs or shads. Shadfish was a very popular. Like the Delaware River was covered in shad, so it was a very. What was that? So it was they caught a lot of it in the Delaware River. This is one of the oldest houses in the Kensington, Fishtown area. Fishtown was originally called Kensington, and this used to be the Kensington Fire Department. Now, this building isn't from 1791, but the fire department that worked out of this building was established in 1791. And again, they were the Kensington Fire Department because this area was called Kensington. It became Fishtown sometime in the early 1800s. There's a newspaper article, I believe it's from 1808. If I say the year, I'm pretty confident that it's almost wrong by a year or two. But there's an article in 1808 that says that the area of Fishtown where the fishermen fish and the this. So that's where the name Fishtown come. There was a rumor that Charles Dickens, the guy who wrote A Christmas Carol, he wrote a letter to somebody in England. And he said, yeah, I was hanging out in Fishtown. I was at the barcade, hanging out, having fun, drinking some beers. So they say maybe it came from that letter where he was talking about Barcade. Barcade's a restaurant that's in this area. It's a bar, and they have like old 1980 video games. This is, you see those buildings across the street? Those are foundations to houses that cost $1.5 million. There was 20 of those houses. So the foundations on this house were not built properly. They had to get knocked down and rebuilt. So the developers who were working on this area, they ran out of money. So the houses were built, like they were 75% done. They were very close to being finished, maybe 65% done. But for a few months, they stopped working because they had to figure out the financial situation for the company. Because they weren't doing anything, a no-good-nick moved into the house closest to the river, and he was cooking a can of beans, like a hobo, like in the hobo stove. And he burnt down one of the houses. And so then they had to knock down all of the houses. And it's a $20 million mistake. This is a rags to riches story up here. The guy who started this company, his name was Edward Corner. And Edward Corner started off in like the junk business. He would scrap and make yarn and whatever. And what he really started making money in is he was a rag maker. He would make rags, and then he got going in with the rope business. And so if you look up there, it says Edward Corner Ropes, canvas covers. And this is one of the only buildings from the history of Fishtown that still acknowledges maritime stuff, like canvas covers, ropes for boats, but rags were really the big thing. Think about it. We take paper towels for granted, but they weren't a thing back in 1890, let's say. So after Edward Corner dies, his sons take over the business, and I believe they're the ones that get this building built. And if you look here, I believe this building was built in 1921. And if you see the EC, that stands for Edward Corner, the guy who started the company. And right there, 1870 is the year he started the company, the rags to riches story. When I started doing research for this tour, this was the story I was excited to tell most. David Bowie recorded the song Fame in the city of Philadelphia. And I was in a band, Public Urination, and we recorded a demo album in this studio. And I thought, and I saw a David Bowie gold record, and somebody told me in the studio, yeah, Bowie recorded Fame here in Philadelphia. But I took that to mean here in this studio, 1080 North Delaware Ave. And that wasn't true. David Bowie did not record Fame at 1080 Delaware Ave. And then I remembered there was a Rat album. Remember the heavy metal band Rat? I thought they recorded an album here at 1080 North Delaware Ave. They didn't! But you know who did? Cinderella recorded a Cinderella album here. I couldn't tell. There is one Cinderella song I know, and I'm thinking it's Every Rose Has a Thorn, and I know it's not that. But they do have a pretty, we know how heavy metal bands have those ballads. So Cinderella, and then when I did a history. I did this tour with some of the viewers yesterday, and when I did that, I asked, did anybody know Cinderella was from Philadelphia? And nobody knew. And we had a pretty diverse group of people. We had some 20-year-olds, we had a teenager, and then we also had some old heads in the group. And but nobody knew Cinderella was from Philadelphia. Because I don't know if we're embarrassed. I'm not really embarrassed. I'm actually kind of happy. But you always hear about the Roots. You always hear about Hall & Oates. You always hear about Boys to Men. But do you always hear about Boys to Men? We should be talking about Boys to Men a little bit more. This is one of my favorite streets in the city. If you come into Philadelphia, there are like 3 concert venues here. Over there is a comedy club. It's called the Punchline Comedy Club. And then over here is a place called the Brooklyn Bowl. And that is the worst name you could give a concert venue. Oh, there they are. Getting ready to perform. Making people happy, playing music, whoever they are. It's way loud. Let's get out of here. If you're in the market for nitrous balloons, look, no lie. See? The people who were on the tour with me yesterday. Remember I told you nitrous balloons? Look. Huh? I know what drugs are. It's a good thing you picked up the balloons with the pandemic. But yeah, see, Stone Cold Nitrous. You get that shit here. Depending on the concert. I guess if it's like, Rod Stewart. Well, you know what? Why not? Why not whip back some balloons? And the comedy club, Punchline. This is from the first concert. Dave Chappelle was the opening act. Wanda Sykes came around. Wanda Sykes lives in Media, Pennsylvania, which is like not that far. It's a little bit south of Philly. This is a place where they make gin. There are a few breweries in Fishtown. There is Philadelphia Brewing Company. They're a beer maker. Evil Genius makes some beers in this section. Yard's Brewery, they make up their beer, and they use recipes that Thomas Jefferson, like that's their gimmick. They use old-fashioned recipes. And then there's another hard booze maker next to the Philadelphia Brewing Company. Really, there's a lot of beer and actually there's a pot store too. There's a pot store. Dirty pot store you go to get the pot. This is Carvana. This is a car vending machine. You put a token in the machine and a car pops out. I made a video inside that Carvana. You can see what it's like when you buy a car. This is the Galdo Parcel. Yeah, the Galdo Parcel. This is a plot of land that the city of Philadelphia neglected for 20 years. They never sent anybody from the streets department to clear this out. So the people who lived on this street, they actually took care of this lot for 20 years. And then the city finally one day are like, oh yeah, we got this lot. We're going to sell the property of this lot. And there's some type of rule in the city. If the city doesn't take care of the property for over 20 years, the people who live in front of that property can claim it. So there was a guy, his name is Richie Galdo, and he took care of this lot. Him and other people did too. And he fought the case and went all the way to the Supreme Court. And I think now he owns the property. And but the thing is, I think he's going to have to start paying the property taxes for that property, which is going to be a lot, because the property taxes in this section of Philadelphia are a little bit high because the property values are higher. This is a McDonald's. I used to call it the worst McDonald's. It's not the worst. There's worse McDonald's. It's a fairly decent McDonald's. This is, I guess I'll tell you the story. This was something you heard on the tour if you came. This used to be a go-go bar called Club Oz. And this is an L stop, the Girard L stop. So I would go drinking in this neighborhood, and I would have to take the L home. And back in the day, the L was $1.25. So I would always need to break change to get on the L. Or maybe I didn't. I was just a pervert, and I went to look at boobs. So what I would do is I would go in here with $1 bill and see if I could break $1 bill to get change. And I always did. They always gave me the money. The funny thing is I went to high school with this girl who was one of those religious people who, I went to public school, but there were people who just always had to wear long dresses. There were women that weren't allowed pants. It was like a Christian thing, I believe. So anyway, all of high school, this girl who I've never seen her legs ever, because she's always wearing those long dresses. 2 years after high school, I go in here to get $1 worth of quarters, and not only do I see her legs, I see the whole shebang. And she was excited to see me, which was, she goes, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" I said, "Oh, well, look at you." And she, I know her real name, so I was trying to keep it. I don't know why. I was like trying to keep it quiet. And so one of the perverts at the bar was like, "Hey, why don't you tell me your friend's name?" And I said, "Oh, I think it's Hazelnut. I don't know." And so that was fun. They're knocking down this Dollar Tree. Yeah, it was like a high school reunion. I've never seen her since. And then, I never saw her again. So that's my last memory of her. And now I tell strangers that story. I don't tell her name, but the 7-Eleven's getting knocked down. This is getting knocked down. There's a lot of things getting knocked down. This is the Girard L stop. If you would take this train and you go 4 stations this way, you would be at Kensington and Allegheny. Maybe 5 stations. They'll go right in book reports. This part of the tour could be wrong. The movie Rocky Balboa, there's a scene where Rocky can't really train because he has arthritis. So there's a scene where Apollo Creed's trainer, who became Rocky's trainer, I believe his name was Duke. His name was Duke Washington, I believe. In this thing I believe this was a boxing gym, and in there's a line where he says, "Let's make hurtin' bombs," and that happened, and that's one of the greatest lines in Rocky history, hurtin' bombs. Back in the 1890s, the Olympics were very popular. I think they might have just started in the 1890s. And swimming was a very popular sport. So the city started building indoor pools. So there's a pool underneath the Philadelphia Museum of Art, just a little bit past it. And this is right here, if you look up at that sign, it says public baths. And what they wanted to happen, the city, is they wanted the kids to go swimming, get a little bit of exercise, but also, the bath water wasn't really that best back then. It also, helped people get clean. It helped with the hygiene in the city. We're on Lee Street. And if you turn down here, one of the like hottest spots to get pizza, the best pizza in the world, there was a review that said that, is in this peace sign place. But it's one of those weird things where I don't know when they're open. I don't know the name because, they don't have a name. They have a peace symbol. What the hell is that for? I guess, but they're so trendy and good, they don't need a sign. Yeah. So, yeah, that's supposed to. And if anybody knows about that pizza spot, is it good? Is it bad? What's it like? Is it worth the wait? How much is it? Here's an old church that is now condos. Oh, you know what? I'm on a scooter, so I better get back. That's a church that is now, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's like office buildings, but they convert stuff, old stuff into new stuff. They have, they knock down old buildings to put up condos. Sometimes they, like that rope building, that Edward rope place, the Edward Corner building. You have to. They had to preserve it. They were going to try to demolish that, but they had to preserve it because it was it was deemed a historical building. So now, instead of knocking that down, they preserved that Edward Corner building. I really should get back to the car. This is one of my favorite streets in the city, just because of the wires being so low up ahead. This also is kind of one of the only streets where I kind of feel like I'm back in Fishtown in 1990. Fishtown in 1990 kind of had a blue-collar working class feel. Here's another lot that residents of the area. This is called the Crease Street Garden. It's just like the Galdo Parcel. This was a vacant lot that nobody took care of, and the neighbors of the on this block started chipping in and working on this thing, and it's a beautiful little garden. But then the city was like, oh, guess what? We're gonna sell this lot to a developer. So the neighbors had like this big fundraising drive. I think they needed $150,000, or they needed $120,000, and they're going. They got it. They got to keep the property. So that's pretty cool. And they do community things in there, like family movie night. You bring a blanket, you sit there, you watch a movie. So that's nice. I'm going to probably be doing another history tour in June. So I hope you guys, I'll announce that later. And if you were part of the tour, I really appreciate you guys coming out. That was really, somebody came from Vermont, somebody came from Harrisburg, and that's amazing, especially with gas prices being what they are. Right across the street, this is the Green Tea Tavern, later became the Marlboro Inn. At one point in time, this was America's oldest tavern. This is Harriet's Bookshop. Will Smith was in here. That used to be something you bragged about, but then the other day he beat up Chris Rock. So yeah, this was the oldest tavern in America up until about 2002, and then it closed down. It started, the residential hotel started in 1857. Now, earlier in the tour, I talked about the Turtle Lenape Indians, how they owned the property, Shakamaksin, and so the other tribes of Lenape Native Americans were the Turkey, and there's a tribute of the Turkey Lenape. And right here is the Wolf Lenape. And oh my God, is it dark at the Delaware River. Let's get back to the car. Here we are. So we sold the wolf, we sold the turkey, and on these lights right here are the turtle, not the human beings, but right here, that's a turtle's ass. There we go. Well, listen, I hope you had fun on this history tour. If you like this video, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, and while you're at it, hit subscribe. Don't forget to check out my merch. It's fire. And if you really want to help me out, there's a link below in every video to my Patreon. But don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And I'll sail with you later. Look, there's a turtle. And now we all know why. Toodles.